Say what you want about Nickelodeon, but there's no doubt in my mind that they have made some really great shows like the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob, Avatar The Last Airbender, the first 5 seasons of Fairly Odd Parents, My Life as a Teenage Robot, Invader Zim, and so many more. But my absolute favorite Nickelodeon cartoon and my favorite TV show of all time is the Ren and Stimpy Show. Created in 1991 by, him. The show is about a chihuahua named Ren and a cat named Stimpy who usually get into wacky hijinks together. Now I have a weird relationship with this show because even though, like I said, it's my favorite show of all time, I only find myself going back and watching a handful of episodes. Well, that changes right now because I am going to be watching every single episode of the Ren and Stimpy Show. Yes, even Adult Party cartoon. Now, this is going to be a series of videos talking about each and every season. So today we're going to be talking about Season 1, and then we'll move on to Season 2 in the next video. Anyways, let's begin. Let's start off with the cartoon that started it all, Big House Blues. I really do like this cartoon. While there is a lot of animation errors here, I can't forgive them since this was the start of the show when they were trying to figure out how to make things work. So yeah, it's a good cartoon. Now let's move on to the real first episode of the series, Stimpy's Big Day and The Big Shot. I really do enjoy these cartoons, although I will admit that the animation errors here are somehow worse than in Big House Blues. But despite those setbacks, I still enjoy this cartoon a lot. Now let's move on to Robin Hoek. It's an okay episode. I'm not really a big fan of these storytime episodes, and while this is one of the better ones, it's still just okay. Now let's move on to Nurse Stimpy. It's another alright episode. It's a bit better than Robin Hoek, mostly because I like the drawings here more, but it's not really all that funny. Now let's move on to Space Madness. Okay, now we're getting into the amazing ones, because this is one of the best episodes of the entire show. The story, the animation, the gags, everything here works. Now let's move on to The Boy Who Cried Rat. While definitely not the masterpiece that Space Madness is, I still really enjoy this episode and there's a lot of funny gags. Now let's move on to Fire Dogs. While I personally don't think it's one of the show's best episodes, I still really enjoy this one. There's a lot of funny gags to be found here. Now let's move on to The Littlest Giant. While not bad, this is the worst episode of the whole season so far. It's not really all that funny and it's kind of just boring to me. Now let's move on to Marooned. Most of the jokes aren't really that funny to me, but it's an alright episode and definitely better than The Littlest Giant. Now let's move on to a cartoon, or Untamed World. I'm just going to say, this is my favorite episode of the entire show. Out of every episode, this is the episode I go back to rewatch the most because it's extremely funny and there's a lot of great drawings here. I love the way Ren and especially Stimpy are drawn in this episode. Now let's move on to Black Hole. Again, another alright episode, but doesn't really have a lot of funny gags to save it from being just alright. And finally, to close off the season, we've got Stimpy's Invention. While Untamed World is my personal favorite Ren and Stimpy episode ever, in terms of episodes, yeah, Stimpy's Invention is the best episode of all time. It is what a Ren and Stimpy episode should be. It should have a good story, amazing gags, and great animation, and this episode has it all. What an amazing way to end the season. Overall, Season 1 of the Ren and Stimpy Show is really good. Even though we do have some meh ones like The Littlest Giant and Maroon, I would go as far as to say there's not even a bad episode this season. Overall, Ren and Stimpy Season 1 gets a 7 out of 10, a really good way to start off this series, and I'll see you next time as we move on to Season 2 in the next video.